Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Deibs, Mr. Crockpot on X. Today, we are breaking down my top 5 names to watch on defense at the upcoming Reese's Senior Bowl. Guys, if you love the draft and you want more draft content, please consider subscribing. Let's go! Leading off, let's talk about defensive lineman Shemar Stewart. Top 10 prospect Nick Scorton's A&M teammate might be a prospect on the rise if Shemar Stewart can make a name for himself during Senior Bowl week. What stands out about Stewart is the lack of production, as he's never recorded more than 1.5 sacks in any of the 3 seasons he was in College Station. Given his physical gifts, that lack of production raises questions. Listed at 6'6" and 290 pounds, Stewart is a big, long behemoth of an edge rusher who looks a lot like Trayvon Walker, Tyree Wilson, and Rashawn Gary. That type of rusher typically rises up draft boards during the pre-draft process as NFL teams fall in love with the impressive tools and traits. Measurables will also be important for Stewart next week, since a heavier weight will mean NFL teams might see him more as an interior defensive lineman rather than edge rusher that he is more naturally suited for. A strong week of practice in one-on-ones will also help mitigate concerns about a lack of production. Let's watch some highlights. Coming up next, let's talk about edge rusher Landon Jackson. Landon Jackson has a terrific motor with excellent size and length and has made tremendous strides with hand usage and overall technique over the last couple of seasons. Jackson isn't quick-twitched and doesn't have elite athleticism, which makes it difficult for him to set up his pass rush moves and win around the edge. Also, his hips are a little tight, which hinders his ability to clear his lower half and get clean wins as a rusher. Overall, Landon Jackson has the makings of a solid 3-down contributor as a traditional defensive end in even fronts or a 4-eye to 5 tech in odd fronts. He may not be a perennial Pro Bowler or All-Pro who consistently gets double-digit sacks, but he could be a plus starter teams can win with in the NFL. If he can impress with his athleticism at the Senior Bowl, then there's a real chance he could hear his name get called as a first-round draft selection by the end of the draft process. Let's watch some highlights. Coming up next, let's talk about edge rusher Mike Green. This Marshall product might have some of the most buzz entering next week thanks to a dominant 2024 season where he led the nation with 17 sacks. He dominated the lesser competition of the Sun Belt, but also flashed production against Power 5 opponents, combining for 3 sacks against Virginia Tech and Ohio State. Green is a speedy, bendy pass rusher who likes to utilize swim and spin moves to dip under blocks. His relentless motor also allowed him to finish quarterbacks who dared to try and escape the pocket. However, the concerns surrounding him are how he will fare against higher quality competition during Senior Bowl week. Mike Green needs a strong week of practice to show that his production will translate to higher levels of competition. Measurables will also matter. While listed at 250 pounds, he was a verified 236 pounds this past spring. Thanks to recent success of players like Parsons and Will McDonald, NFL teams are a little less biased against undersized edge rushers nowadays, but Mike Green would benefit from weighing closer to his listed weight. Let's watch some highlights. Next up, we're going to talk about a pair of Oregon Ducks, leading off with edge rusher Jordan Burch. Jordan Burch started to hit his stride in 2023, earning all-conference honorable mention honors. He then took a massive leap forward in 2024, racking up 8.5 sacks for the Oregon Ducks. His verified height and weight are 6'4", 294 pounds. He doesn't have great arm length, but that's the only knock against his physical profile. He's got a densely built frame, and he's a high motor player with freakish power and explosiveness. According to Bruce Feldman for The Athletic, Burch squats and sumo deadlifts 685 pounds and reaches a top speed of 20.75 miles per hour. Therefore, this is clearly a guy that could make some noise during the draft process. Negative-wise, he doesn't have elite bend, but still turns the corner well for a defender his size. Burch doesn't play to that size consistently, especially in the run game. His lack of arm length pops in that part of the game, and his base suffers from some failures when anchoring at the point of attack. Let's watch some highlights. Lastly, let's talk about linebacker Jeffrey Bassa. Sticking with the Ducks, Jeffrey Bassa is a modern linebacker with long arms and loose hips. This is a guy who plays sideline to sideline and uses his range to prevent running backs from turning the corner on outside runs. Bassa is still developing his instincts fitting gaps in the run game. His eagerness to play downhill causes him to open gaps. He needs to play with more patience. His lack of mass makes him an easy target for climbing linemen. He struggles to stack and shed blocks, but his agility and quick feet make it difficult for linemen to mirror him in space. His best trait is his ability to drop back and hold his own. Jeffrey Bassa offers tremendous versatility in coverage. The Ducks even asked asked him to play safety in inverted cover 3, and he did really well. Bassa has experience bracketing slot options up the seam, as well as playing within depth in zone coverages. His speed keeps him even with tight ends and running backs on vertical plays. Overall, Jeffrey Bassa is a tremendous athlete, but needs to develop his instincts and technique. Let's watch some highlights. Alright guys, those are my top 5 names to watch on defense for the Reese's Senior Bowl. Who are your favorite draft prospects on defense? Do you agree or disagree with my rankings? Let me know down in that comment section below. Thank you everyone for watching. Stay awesome.